Hello again, boys and girls. It's Anna here from Art by Anna CL, and I thought I would do the second part of making a pen. So when I last did a pen video, I think it was this particular blank that I showed how I put it together. And I thought it would be fun today to just show you how to go from here into a completed pen. So as you can see, I have a whole assortment of them to do today, so I can show you a few different ones. And I have different finishes for all the ones that I want to do. The first one I'll do is in a satin chrome, which I haven't done before, so I'm really excited to see what that will look like. Okay, so these blanks have been obviously baked, so they're hard. They've been lightly sanded and then sealed with polyurethane. I know it says satin, but I've never found it to be satin. It's quite glossy, as you can quite plainly see. Polyurethane varnish. This one, I think the packaging has changed since last I bought it, but as you can see, a little goes a long way. I've had this for about 18 months and there's still about half of it left. This one is an Australian made one, but I'm pretty sure that you could find something similar wherever it is that you're creating beauty. So to get started, so these have been sealed and I've let them dry completely. It's best to, regardless of what the drying time is on the packaging, just let them sit for at least 12 hours. So if you can, let them sit overnight or over a day or two. The longer you leave it, really, it's not going to hurt. But if you do try and do anything while they're still wet, you can compromise the surface of the seal, which, apart from getting marks on it or fingerprints or whatever you do to it, you'll have to then sand back all of it to fix up that one tiny little scratch or whatever you've done. So let them dry completely. Then this is my secret weapon. It's not essential to have, but I found that I was making more mistakes without it than with it. So this is called a pen press. I don't know if I could get the whole thing in the frame. I'll put a picture of it on Facebook for anyone who's interested, and I'll put the link to my Facebook page there as well. So this is called a pen press. And basically it does just that. It presses all the components together so that you get a nice pen without any damage, without any hard work at all. So the first thing you have to do is decide which one of the tubes you want to be the top one and which one you want to be the bottom. Really doesn't actually matter, but sometimes I find like there's a particular part of the pattern that I would like more attention drawn to, which is usually the part that I put at the bottom, because at the top there'll be a lot going on. There'll be the pen clip, and people don't often, I mean, they might notice it the first time they look at your pen, but people don't often look at the top half of the pen other than to notice that it's there. So conversely, if there's a tiny little flaw or a little smudge or distortion or something that you want to hide, put that on the top part of your pen and it's less likely to be noticed. So the first thing we want to do is take the bottom piece of our pen, so the part where the ink will come out, and where the middle of the pen will be, we want to put in this twist mechanism. As you can see, it's got a little tiny line right there underneath the brass fitting. That is where you want to push it into. So this needs to be pushed into there up to that point. Okay? So that's what we'll do. Pull this back. This one in here. And this, oopsie, more space. Right. And it really is as easy as making sure this is stable. I usually sit on the floor and do this, so that's why it's a bit awkward for me on the table. And that's that. That's all that there is to it. And look at that, we're on our way. So now, if we were to take the little inkwell, pop it into the mechanism, twist it in, and now you'll see that it twists. How cool. Right, so I'll take that out again. Next part is this little bit, the front. So again, same process, pop it all into the pen press, pop it together, hold it steady, and level is very important because you can bend the tubes, which can crack the clay and cause all sorts of issues. And there it is, look at that. See, there really isn't much to it once you've had the blanks, once you have these. I just put on the middle ring, so it's just this little ring bit, and it literally just slides on over there. That's that. Okay, we'll put this aside for the moment, this top part. We'll take the other part. Now remember, if you have a top and a bottom of the picture, not just of the pen, so in this case all of my pansies are upright, so they're all in the same direction. So if you had, for example, like this one here, where is it? This one here has skulls, and I mean a skull has a definite top and a bottom, and they're all in the same direction, they're not just haphazardly thrown on there. You want to make sure that when you put your pen together, you don't have one half of it with, let me do it in this one so that it's easier to tell. You don't have half the skulls facing up and half the skulls facing down, unless that is what you want, of course, but personally I need things to be the same, otherwise I get cranky. So make sure that when you do the next piece, your blank is the right way around, so that the top part of it is the top and not what is supposed to be the middle, if that makes sense. Right, so here's mine. In my case, I want my pansies to be upright, which means this needs to be the top of my pen. So the first thing I'll do is put my clip on there, and then take this cap, slot it in there, pop it into my press, oops, other way around, probably do that, and oh, there we go, make sure it's in there nice and tight, move this out of the way, and before, I have actually once made the very embarrassing mistake of giving someone a pen as a birthday gift, and I'm telling him, oh, just twist it, that's how the ink comes out, and he's twisting, and absolutely nothing's happening. So I took it off him to demonstrate, and then I realized that I had never actually put this into the pen, so there was no ink. Fortunately, I had a spare one in my bag, so I could just give it to him, but that was really rather embarrassing, so now I don't forget about it. Anyway, all this happens is this slides on here. until it meets in the middle, and that's that. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? So the reason this comes off quite easily, it just pulls off, it's a little bit tight, but it just pulls off, is so that you can replace these wherever you buy your pen kits, or wherever pen kits are sold. Basically they should have these ink refills for your pen. Just make sure that you get the right kind. There are a couple of different ones, but if you get the ones for the slimline pen, or for the pen kit that you specifically have, you shouldn't have any troubles whatsoever. Pop that back on, and there it is. Isn't that pretty? How easy was that? Okay, I'm going to do a couple more, but I won't talk throughout the whole lot nonsense. So I will just let you watch, and if you don't want to watch, you can just fast forward through this, and at the end I will show you all of the pens with all the different finishes. So that was the satin. Oh, actually, before I stop talking, I'll just quickly show you. The next one I'm going to do is going to be a chrome stylus pen. So it's chrome finish for the most part. The only difference is the top bit of the pen has this little soft rubber tip for touchscreens. So if you wanted to work on your phone or your tablet or any other touchscreen, you could use this little rubber tip bit, and it will substitute for your finger. Now when you put this in the pen press, or when you're putting together the pieces of your pen, I've had, before I knew what I was doing properly and before I did any research, I just left this on here because I didn't know that if you just twist this part off, see, there we go, so it's just screwed on there, then this little tip comes right off. If you don't take this rubber bit off before you press the pen together, it gets broken, it tears, because the rubber doesn't have anywhere to go to, and as you're pressing it together, it gets cut on this edge here. Not that this edge is sharp, but with all that pressure from the press, and then this, the rubber has nowhere to go, so it rips. So just pop this rubber off. These are also replaceable. You can generally buy these separately, and they come in a range of different colors, and I'm sure you can even get some micro mesh ones, which I don't really like, but some people do. So anyway, I'll be quiet now, and I'll just let you watch me play. Okay, this happens too sometimes. I have forgotten the clip, so I'll just show you how I rectify that. Give me a minute. Okay, so I got this little set from timberbits.com.au, which is an Australian woodworking and pen making supplier. And this is a disassembly tool, so I will need a hammer, which I had just earlier. Don't know what I've done with it. Huh. Well, this is embarrassing. You'll need a little hammer. I just have a little ballpoint hammer because otherwise I smash myself, and the bigger the hammer the more it hurts. And then the thickest of the rods. So this, if I wanted to take the whole pen apart, so let's say I have someone who likes this design but they'd prefer gold or copper or whatever finishes on it rather than the silver, all I would have to do is disassemble it, and it's not impossible. So the thin rod, here it is assembled, the thin rod fits in all the way to the tip, and it sits somewhere in here. And then holding this as tight as you can, you take the hammer and you give it gentle but sharp, not gentle, you give it sharp but short taps until this pops out. 2 or 3 taps generally does it. Once the tip is off, you can then take out this twist mechanism if for some reason something goes wrong with it, or you've popped it in too far, which I have done, or something along those lines. You can get it out as well. Once this is off, you grab your pen, pop it in there, and then this goes into the top of the tube, the thicker rod, and you just hit the top of this rod. Again, sharp, short taps with the hammer, and it will eventually dislodge the twist mechanism as well. Takes a bit more than it does to undo the tip. And the same for the end bit. I need the thickest rod. Let's see. Just want to double check. Oh, I can use the thin one. I don't like using the thick one. It only just fits in the tube, and if I were to hit it at a strange angle, it might bend the tube. Like I said, I usually wouldn't be working on a glass surface with this stuff, so, but this is where I have the camera. So, see, it's slowly, it's, if that would focus, it's coming out, it's coming away from the blank. A few more should do it. I sit on the floor and do this because I'm less likely to drop stuff or break the floor than I am when I'm sitting here with what my mum calls implements of destruction and a glass surface. Okay. So there was another added little bonus for you because of my stupidity. Okay. Take 2. It's always a good idea once you have the twist mechanism in place and the tip to make sure that when the nib is extended, it doesn't go too far out so that it looks awkward, and it also goes all the way in so that if this was in your pocket or in your handbag or wherever you keep it, it's not, the ink's not in a position where it can come out and destroy your clothing or your handbag or whatever it comes in contact with. So that's why I play with the twisty bit. Number 2. This is another new one for me. This is a copper finish. Look at that, so shiny. another thing that I do, but shh, don't tell, is you can see here there's a little tiny speck of black clay that somehow got in there when I was making this blank, and I couldn't sand it out. It would have left a big chunk missing here, and it wouldn't have been a nice straight finish. And so what I do when something like that occurs is, like I said, I have it at the top where it's less likely to be noticed, but then I go a bit further and I get really cheeky and I make sure that my clip actually covers that flaw, so that you really have to be like a super spy to to see it. Most people won't notice it unless they spend a great deal of time looking at the pen. For any of you that may or may not have bought any of my pens, please don't go looking for flaws, because you might find some. You might be disappointed. Oh my gosh. Really? What is going on? Sheesh. Another one. Oops. The last one I'll do for tonight is in gunmetal. Pretty. I know I said 4 or 5 sharp taps, but apparently not when you're being very careful not to break anything. Or, you know, bash yourself in the hand with a hammer on camera. nicely. It's like there's something. It's like there's fur of some kind in here. I don't know where that would have come from, but it's making the pen not want to fit together nicely. So I'm just going to try and take the nib off here, or the tip off. Oh my gosh, it's really stuck in there tight. I wonder if it's got to do with those fibers. I promise you, it's not usually this difficult. I guess this is why they say you need to rehearse things before you plan on taking it on the road, so to speak. Oh yeah, that looks better already. And that's that. That's all of them. So I have a couple more blanks on the go that I'm busy working on. This yellow one, well, yellow and orange from this afternoon. That's another one. So that's the second half of that one. So that one's ready for the oven. It just it needs a few friends. It doesn't want to go in there by itself. And then this is a more orange, less yellow one. And this one has butterflies as opposed to, I think the other one has frogs. And then I have this one, this this sort of grey stuff is translucent clay, so when that's baked, hopefully, fingers tightly crossed, that would be less grey and more black, but we'll see how it goes. I don't have the second half of that because I'm not sure how it would look once it's baked. And then this one just has the starting base on it. I haven't decided what, if any, design elements I want to put on this. I mean, I can just leave it like that and have a quite a striking black and white pen, especially if it was finished in either a, well, actually any of them would do, but a silver or a gunmetal would really complement these colors as well. Anyway, and then I have a couple of bigger blanks, but I won't bore you to death with all of them. So just to quickly recap what I showed you tonight: some beautiful pens, 1, 2. So these all have different finishes, like I said. Again, I will add photos to my Facebook page, Art by Anna CL, and you can see any and all of them there, and they will most likely be listed in my Etsy shop before long. Again, it's the same, Art by Anna CL, etsy.com / Art by Anna CL. There you have it. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I hope that wherever you are, you're creating light and beauty and sharing it with the world. Bye.